I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Zwicker?
Here.
Ms. Breyer?
Here.
Mr. Prince?
Here.
Mr. Person?
Here.
Ms. Palmer?
Here.
Mr. Corman?
Here.
Mr. Taylor?
Here.
Roll call, Mr. Mayor. All present.
Thank you. Well, this evening we have our friend who represents us from the King County Council, Renton, who's going to give us a state of the county. I don't know if this will be a 45-minute or...
I promise I won't go long. I promise.
Welcome, Reagan. Nice to see you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members. Always good to be back here in the city of Renton. This is my 8th year delivering this speech. I cannot believe
Goes
how
fast.
It's gone. Yeah, so anyway, it's been wonderful and fun, and as you know, we live just east of Renton here, and I go through Renton every day. Councilmember Prince, welcome to the council.
Thank you.
Good to see you on board as well. So. Just real quick, wanted to give you my annual update of what I've been working on. Obviously, the county budget's been a real challenge in this economic downturn. Last year, we didn't have to cut much out, but looks like this year we're going to face about another $20 million deficit at the county council for 2013. It's likely we're going to have to make some cuts. It's not the $95 million and then another 65 that we had in 2 successive years in 08 and 09. But it should impact some services, some hopefully, and the executive believes that we can absorb most of that through various administrative efficiencies. But I don't think it's going to come at the backs of the court system or prosecutor or law enforcement. At least that's my sincere hope. So I'll be working on that. Some substantive stuff that I wanted to sort of highlight for you that I'm working on right now. Some anti-gang legislation. As you might know, we've seen the last, quite frankly, we're in pretty historic lows for crime over the last 20 or so years. But about midway through last year, we saw that number turn. So while 2010 had just 20 murders. In the last 11 months, we've had 37 murders. That's in the city of Seattle, for example. We're seeing burglaries up substantially all across King County. I don't know what Renton statistics are, but certainly in unincorporated King County, that's a problem. Some of that stuff is gang-related, so there's a couple different things, an anti-gang emphasis area that is being proposed and discussed right now would only apply for someone who is actually convicted of a gang-related crime. And then at sentencing, the judge could say, we're going to ask you to stay out of a gang-free zone, which would be a parcel or a couple parcels. So we all know those bars, whatever it is, parking lots where there's gang activity. This would give judges just another tool to keep them, gang members, out of these areas. There's also a new ordinance that's being discussed that would make it an offense. Believe it or not, it's not an offense to intimidate somebody, threat bodily harm if they're trying to get out of a gang, or threaten bodily harm if to force somebody into a gang. There's simple assault, but it's not a gang-related charge. So we're talking about at the county level using our authority there to make this a new crime. So we're talking about that. I think there's a really good chance that will pass. Human trafficking ordinance. The Veterans and Human Services Levy did not spend all of its capital last year. There was about $3 million left. The executive has proposed some uses for that. A majority of the King County Council is proposing $750,000 to focus on human trafficking. It will do a variety of things, including some enforcement action, but mostly prevention and intervention. And we will be using messaging, the Metro bus system, as a way to get a public awareness campaign out, both the outside and inside of the buses. If there's going to be a hotline number linked to an existing nonprofit that we'll be focusing on. So you'll hear more about that, and it's exciting. The City of Los Angeles just Thursday launched theirs. We'll be looking at some of the things that are going on there, taking the best ideas, and hopefully don't have to spend a lot of money on startup costs. So, as you know, it's a huge problem. They estimate between 300 and 700 people will be trafficked in King County just 1 year. So working on that. The next steps for let me switch gears and go to the Metro Transit change. So the big news for Renton on that is that the Rapid Ride F line is going to open in the fall of 2013. I think that's really good news. It's going to provide some convenient east-west service between Burien and Renton. And of course, Marcy and I serve on the Regional Transit Committee, so she's been really doing great work there as we have squeezed out a lot of efficiencies in Metro. In February of this year, Route 149, that's the ride between Renton and Enumclaw, became Route 907 DART service. Now, this helped to save operating costs, but portions of Renton, Enumclaw, Black Diamond, and Maple Valley are affected by this, and so as your constituents call, you might want to make them aware that that switched over to DART service. Finally, as you know, somewhat recently, a portion of Route 240, which is Renton to Bellevue. I used to ride that every day going down to Gravity Sports, the old skateboard shop when I was a kid. Peak service was upgraded from every 30 minutes to every 15 minutes, and its service was extended to the Eastgate Park and Ride, and also over to Bellevue College, I think, which is a good connection. Briefly touching on the issue of the arena, you've heard a lot about that right now. There's a May 16th memorandum of understanding with specific details on this proposal that was transmitted to the county council for review both by the mayor of Seattle and the county executive and Chris Hansen. Last week, council members were briefed on the proposal, and another briefing is scheduled for June 5th and also June 19th. Council members are going to thoroughly vet this and ensure the fiscal interests of the county are protected. There are some folks who are, very adamant on the council about that this happen. There are a couple that are just flat out opposed, and I'm sort of in the mindset that I want to look at the numbers, I want to review the studies, I want to make sure we get an independent review and sort of see what's underlying this before we get involved in sort of the emotional. Look, we all want a sports team, we all want basketball and hockey here, we all want a new arena. What is it going to cost the taxpayers, and is this the right location and also the right time to do it? So I haven't forgotten about Renton, right? I haven't forgotten about Renton. And something like this has momentum sometimes, so let me know if there's something to throw into that mix, okay? So, and no timeline set for council action, but I would expect that would be late summer, early fall. Annexations, possible annexations for the city of Renton include, of course, East Renton Plateau, Bearwood, Petrovisky, and West Hill. As you know, these have been discussions for some time, and I don't know what the city's hope is on any of those moving forward, so keep me posted if there are any plans.
We're going to be meeting on it June 11th, next week, so we'll be talking about West Hill.
Okay. Okay, great. So that's all I had. I will remind myself to mention the sandbag removal. I chair the King County Flood Control District Executive Committee. We authorized money to remove that 25-mile wall of sandbags on the Green River, and that's finally going to be pulled up this summer, and there's going to be an event to sort of celebrate this as an example of good coordination. You had the Corps, you had Renton, Kent, Auburn, Tukwila, the state, various agencies involved. So, we had a real threat. It was a 1 in 3 chance that dam could go out in a flood event. We fixed that. We had interim measures that were done, and now we're repairing the worst levee. So I think we're really taking a giant leap forward, and I'm proud to say that we got a good result, I think, out of that. So with that said, if there are any questions that you would permit, Mr. Mayor?
So I'm sure we've got a question or two about the F line. Yes, Mr.
Yes,
Zucker.
exactly. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, you mentioned the F line, Rapid Ride in, and I'm sure that you're aware that we're interested in extending it from the transit center, getting it there to Boeing and the landing.
Right.
And I know we're trying to coordinate funds and that type of stuff. Is there any update, or simply if you want to just give us your wholehearted support that you'll do any possible things
absolutely
to make it happen?
will. Absolutely will. Let me, Marcy and I maybe can go to bat together on the Regional Transit Committee and talk with Metro. In fact, let's sit down with the head of Metro and see what we can do to make that a reality. But anybody who knows the city knows that those are critical components.
Absolutely.
And by the way, you deserve commendation on what you've done with that area up there. I mean, the landing is just wonderful. It really, really is. People are coming in from outside of Renton to use those facilities. So it's really exciting to see the changes. My commendations.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Come on, you got to rough them up a little bit.
Yeah.
No questions.
I'm just wondering whether to step into this about the basketball arena. I watched that with interest. I saw where the port was kind of concerned about another stadium in that area. which I can kind of understand why they're a little bit concerned about that. I know when we talked about it before, our city was pretty excited, with the exception of one council member that wasn't quite as excited about it. I don't know if I can. I think we've got a few different folks on the council since then, but I was curious whether Renton was being discussed.
You obviously hear Soto, and then you occasionally hear a whisper of Bellevue and also Renton, because that idea was floated before.
Mm-hmm.
The city of Seattle, and I think this is a fair statement, they haven't done a lot in terms of investing in capacity for new infrastructure down there, traffic capacity. They've been focusing on other areas. So the traffic study that was done by Mr. Hansen himself, and we know what the result's going to be, and I'm not questioning his integrity, but that's the way it goes. So I think that an independent review is very important. And the last thing we want to do in this economy is block access to the port. So that's something I'll be looking at very seriously. There's been a lot of infrastructure here, and I am more than open-minded to the possibility that Renton could be a future site for this facility or another facility moving forward.
Thanks.
Any other questions?
Well, I just want to reiterate what Randy's saying about the traffic in the port. I've learned over the last few years how important that port is to our economy, and especially the economy all the way down the valley. And if they have concerns about traffic, I guess I do, and hope you pay real close attention to it.
We will, absolutely. It is something that needs to be studied by an independent group and then an assessment made. I know the Mariners are adamantly opposed, the port is opposed, a lot of the truck drivers are currently opposed. So we'll have to sit down and sort it out and make a judgment call. All right.
Okay, Reagan, well, thank you very much for sharing some of your time with us this evening.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Always great to see you.
Good to see you. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda is the administrative report. Mr. Covington?
Just a couple items, Mr. Mayor, for viewing audience. Want to remind folks that tomorrow we begin the 11th season of our farmers market downtown from 3 to 7 p.m. on Tuesdays. That'll run from tomorrow through September 25th. 2:45, the Mayor Law will officially ring the bell, and we'll begin our 11th season. And then on Sunday, if you run out of fresh food and flowers by Sunday, you can head on down to Valley Medical Center. They're starting their second season from noon to 4. And folks looking for more information can just go to our website, rentonwa.gov, and you can pick up information there. Also want to let folks know the Renton Housing Authority is opening its Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher wait list today until it fills up. So folks that are interested can go to www.rentonhousing.org for more information. That's all, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, Mr. Covington. Next item is audience comment. We have one person signed up to address the council, Dr. Huschel from the Renton School District.
Thank you, Mayor Law, members of the council. For the record, my name is Mary Alice Huschel, Superintendent of the Renton School District, 300 Southwest 7th Street in Renton. As the mayor and the city council is aware, our community suffered a terrible tragedy and the loss of Lindbergh High School junior Jessica Scholl. The support and partnership from the city, starting with Mayor Law, was exceptionally outstanding. The fire department, the police department, the detectives, and the team of professionals that worked with the district and the family allowed the Renton School District to dispatch our own crisis team to support thousands of students at Lindbergh High School, their families, and students and staff impacted at other schools. We were able to process fear, frustration, anger, shock, disbelief, and a whole list of other emotions by providing appropriate, accurate information, maintaining communication and support. But we could only do that because of our partnership with you. Renton prides itself on its relationships and partnerships, and your leadership contributes to that culture. On behalf of the Renton School Board and the Renton School District, I'm here to thank you for your leadership and partnerships that make Renton a great place to live, learn, work, and play. We value our partnership, and in this tragedy, it was invaluable for thousands of those who were impacted. Similarly, I would like to thank Mayor Law and two of the City Council members, Councilmember Palmer and Councilmember Prince, who were able to join us for an amazing team of leaders throughout our community to work on the 3-year strategic plan for the district, which of course impacts thousands as well. And particularly the staff of leaders from the city that came and spent a number of hours with our team. Your input was valuable in formulating our plan, and it will focus our time and resources in the coming years to continue our success to support student achievement. It's another example of the commitment to our work, and I am personally and professionally grateful. It is what makes Renton, Renton. So thank you all.
Thank you, Dr. Huchel, and thank you very much for taking the time to come down here. It was a very tragic week. We too value the partnership we have with you, and so thanks for your kind words. Okay, next is the consent agenda. We have 8 items for the council to consider. Is there any item a council member would like pulled for discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Person.
I'd like to pull item F.
Okay. Any other items?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Zwicker.
I move that the council concur in the consent agenda minus item F.
Second.
Been moved by Mr. Zwicker, seconded by Mr. Corman. The council approve the consent agenda minus item F. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Mr. Person?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, item F is a request to waive the parking garage fees for the people working at the farmers market and for the 2012 Return to Renton Car Show. And since the market is starting tomorrow, I would suggest that this is something that we have always historically done, and we discussed it a little bit in the Finance Committee, thinking that it was going to come on the, as a council concur. So
Right.
I would suggest that we just pass it this evening.
Is that a motion?
That was a motion.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Person, seconded by Mr. Taylor, that council approve item F of the consent agenda in regards to the parking fees, the waiver. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
A good catch.
Thank you, Mr. Person. Unfinished business, Mr. Zwicker.
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Ms. Breyer?
Yes, the Finance Committee.
Finance Committee report, approval of claims and payroll vouchers. The Finance Committee approves for payment on June 4th, 2012, claim vouchers 312-226 through 312-555, 5 wire transfers and 1 payroll run with benefit withholding payments totaling $3,756,384.61, and payroll vouchers include 735 direct deposits and 67 payroll checks totaling $1,576,006.29. This is signed by the 3 committee members.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Ms. Breyer.
I move that council concur with the Finance Committee report.
Second.
It's been moved by Ms. Breyer, seconded by Mr. Taylor, that council concur with the Finance Committee report. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
Finance Committee report, River Rock Grill and Ale House contract. The Finance Committee recommends concurrence in the staff recommendation to authorize an addendum to the lease and concession agreement with Baraja Arias Incorporated, I'm not sure if I pronounced it right, doing business as River Rock Grill and Ale House of Maplewood Golf Course, to reduce the rent percentage as identified for a period of 1 year commencing June 2012 through June 2013. The committee further recommends that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to sign the addendum. This is signed by the 3 committee members.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Ms. Breyer.
I move that council concur with the Finance Committee report.
Second.
It's been moved by Ms. Breyer, seconded by Mr. Taylor, that council concur with the Finance Committee report. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
That is all I have.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Prince.
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Mr. Person,
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Ms. Palmer,
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
and Mr. Corman,
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Taylor.
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor, but I do have a report I'd like to make.
Okay.
A few things that happened over the Memorial Day weekend. Last year, you all may remember, I was invited to the Northwest Folk Life Festival to participate as an MC for their 40th anniversary. And during that time, I had an opportunity to meet their executive director, Rob Townsend. And he was gracious, came and asked me what did I think, wanted some feedback. I gave him some feedback. It was fantastic. One of the more complex coordinations of 6,000 performers on 26 stages over a 4-day weekend. The only thing that I felt was a little in absence was the number of people of different communities of color who were not at the event, which is a free event. It's the largest event of its type in the United States. So he invited me 2 months later to a futures event planning meeting and asked me what could be done about it. And I recommended that we identify a community and try to figure out how to get a large population of folks there. So he asked me to go ahead and do it. He'd make some arrangements to accommodate the group when they came. I was able to identify the Somali Youth and Family Club located at Creston Point and coordinate with their leader, Hamdi Abdul. We planned on taking 100 individuals to the Folk Life Festival. Many people may not be aware of this, but the Somali community is one of the more self-isolated communities in the African groups. And being at their location enhanced that even more, so because of where they're located geographically. We were able to contact Julia Patterson's office and secure some funding through a recommended source called For Culture, which paid for 2 coaches that seated 57 passengers each. We were planning to take 100 individuals there on Saturday, and we ended up with 153 people. We took those individuals to the event. It was quite an experience. They had never done anything like that. 100 individuals. This was a cultural experience for them to learn about all of the different cultures that and music, dance, festivities at the Folk Life Festival. And it was very interesting. Was a little nervous at first because people kind of went in many different directions. We had youth and adults there. I was able to bring a few pictures to show you. As a side to that, one of the other things that Rob Townsend mentioned to me was that he was working on a grant request from the Washington State Arts Commission. And he had a program he wanted to create called Folk Life Community Arts Engagement and Mentorship Project. Well, the project I did introduce the Somali community to them. The grant was awarded. It's a pretty significant grant, and the project seeks to identify a diverse and underserved community and provide a project coordinator to organize and manage rehearsals, production details, community engagement, marketing, as well as audio-video documentation for 2 showcase documentaries. Folk Life will also provide mentorship and training and the use of social media along with grassroots and online marketing to promote the participation from the communities in the showcases. And Folk Life will also seek a candidate from the Somali community, a paid position in partnership with Folk Life to assist them in coordinating and the handling of all of the aspects of the project. The goal of this project is to promote the community to itself, showcase it via radio and audio, documentary, and then to the community at large. Jack Straw Productions is one of the partners in this, along with Doug Plummer, who's a videographer and producer of a series called Northwest Stories. Also, KBCS radio station out of Bellevue College will be the radio station involved in that. So it's a good connection, good partnership, some good resources introduced to that community. And by the way, the individuals who attended the event were brought in from Renton, from SeaTac, and also from Creston Point. So we had a pretty good population of folks from the Somali community. It worked out great. I had an opportunity to go to a once-in-a-lifetime event. I was invited to the Queen Mothers from Africa on African Liberation Day celebration. They came to Federal Way, and these were African queens from Ghana, New York, Canada, London, and Seattle. And I, along with Hamdi, attended that event also on that same day, so it was quite a busy day. And that is all.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Okay, let's see. Moving on to resolutions and ordinances, we have 1 ordinance for first reading and 3 for second and final.
The first ordinance for first reading regards an amendments for City Code for gross misdemeanors.
Oh, yeah.
An ordinance of the City of Renton, Washington, amending Section 131 of Chapter 3, Remedies and Penalties of Title I, Administrative of City Code, correcting a subsection 1-3-1B to include gross misdemeanors.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Person.
I move the ordinance to be placed on second and final reading at the next council meeting.
Second?
It's been moved by Mr. Person, seconded by Ms. Breyer, that this ordinance be placed on second and final reading at the next council meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
For second and final reading, the first ordinance regards the Administrative Services Administrator duties. An ordinance of the City of Renton, Washington, amending Title V, Finance and Business Regulations of City Code by adding a new Chapter 23, Examinations, Records Preservation, Successor Liability, and Public Disclosure, clarifying the Administrative Services Administrator's authority to examine and audit records, and also adding successor liability and public disclosure.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Ms. Breyer.
I move that this ordinance be approved.
Second.
It's been moved by Ms. Breyer, seconded by Mr. Taylor, that this ordinance be adopted as read. All, that requires a roll call.
Mr. Zwicker?
Aye.
Ms. Breyer?
Aye.
Mr. Prince?
Aye.
Mr. Person?
Aye.
Ms. Palmer?
Aye.
Mr. Corman?
Aye.
Mr. Taylor?
Aye.
Roll call, Mr. Mayor. All ayes.
The ayes have it.
Next ordinance for second and final reading regards the Tax-Related Examinations and Audits Code Amendment. An ordinance of the City of Renton, Washington, amending Section 3-4-3 of Chapter 4, Administrative Services Department of City Code, revising the duties of the Administrative Services Administrator related to recent changes in the department.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Ms. Breyer.
I move that this ordinance be adopted as read.
Second.
It's been moved by Ms. Breyer, seconded by Mr. Taylor, that this ordinance be adopted as read. Requires a roll call.
Mr. Zwicker?
Aye.
Ms. Breyer?
Aye.
Mr. Prince?
Aye.
Mr. Person?
Aye.
Ms. Palmer?
Aye.
Mr. Corman?
Aye.
Mr. Taylor?
Aye.
Roll call, Mr. Mayor. All ayes.
Just for council information, excuse me, there was a slight change from the ordinance last week in that we put in I think actually it was a prior ordinance, we put in a reference to a statute of limitations on audits that mirrors what state law would be. And we also put in a retention requirement that the business keep their books for 8 years so that we can have some context when we do our audits. Those are both minor amendments to the proposed ordinance, just for
Questions,
information
council
purposes.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Warren.
The last ordinance for second and final reading regards Criminal Prosecution Code Amendment. An ordinance of the City of Renton, Washington, amending Section 6-10-1 of Chapter 10 Criminal Code of Title VI Police Regulations of City Code, adopting by reference state statutes.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Person.
I move the ordinance be adopted as read.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Person, seconded by Mr. Corman, that this ordinance be adopted as read. Requires a roll call.
Mr. Zwicker?
Aye.
Ms. Breyer?
Aye.
Mr. Prince?
Aye.
Mr. Person?
Aye.
Ms. Palmer?
Aye.
Mr. Corman?
Aye.
Mr. Taylor?
Aye.
Roll call, Mr. Mayor. All ayes.
The ayes have it. Thank you very much, Bonnie. Moving on to new business, Mr. Zwicker.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I have a couple of items. First of all, wanted to get the council's feelings on our, and some reminders on our summer schedule for council meetings. The first one I'm going to kind of propose as, let's go ahead and cancel it unless I hear otherwise. On July 2nd, July 4th falls on a Wednesday, so we have a scheduled meeting for July 2nd, and kind of hearing some people saying that they'd prefer just to go ahead and cancel that one on that weekend, and I think unless we hear strong opposition up here, we're going to go ahead and cancel that one. So we'll be canceling the July 2nd meeting because I'm not seeing anything but nods. And then we also have our River Days, and River Days is falling a little later this year, and we always take the Monday following River Days off, and that is the July 30th. So that would be normally would be our 5th Monday. So we have the Monday following River Days off automatically per council policy. So the question would be, is anyone interested in trying to take off July 23rd, the week before River Days?
That would be a yes for me.
And I think that's because Greg's going to be out of town. Did we want to, or power through, or?
So
I don't,
then we wouldn't meet July 2nd. We'd be here, what's that, the 9th?
16th?
Yeah.
So we'd,
And then the 23rd, 30th off.
I'm assuming staff is okay?
Yeah, we'll make it
Administration?
work.
Okay.
Sounds good to me. It's
Go ahead
my
and do it.
birthday.
So let's do it then.
Not
Bonnie
my
wants a
birthday, but
motion
my
on
birthday
that.
week.
Okay, I'll formalize everything with a motion then, when we're done. And then, just for our summer schedule, also the reminder on August 27th, that per council policy is canceled. That's the Monday before the Monday of Labor Day, to give that 2-week period off. So just a reminder, August 27th is off. So, Bonnie wanting a motion, I'm going to go ahead and make a motion that we cancel the council meeting for July 2nd and July 23rd.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Zwicker, seconded by Mr. Taylor, that council cancel meetings coming up in July 2nd and July 23rd. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you. Next item is, all of us received an information regarding food trucks at Farmers Market. I think many of us had a chance to talk with Chip about it and some other forwarded information. Contained in the Farmers Market, eliminating the Farmers Market issue is just kind of the discussion of food trucks, and it's something as a council we went over a couple of years ago, and I know one of the big focuses was making sure that our food trucks remained mobile. And that was there. There's also, that has come out though, is that we do have a prohibition on a food truck being on the right-of-way. And that intrigued a couple of people enough that we kind of thought that maybe it was worth, in light of what Seattle was doing and that type of thing, of going and having Chip and his staff make a presentation on kind of the current state of food trucks and that type of thing. So with that, I saw enough interest from a couple of council members that I thought that would be an appropriate committee of the whole referral. So I'd like to refer the issue of food trucks right away in the state of food trucks to committee of the whole.
second?
It's been moved by Mr. Zwicker, seconded by Ms. Breyer, that the topic of food trucks, in particular in public right-of-ways, be referred to committee of the whole. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
And then the last item is calling out the meetings. Next Monday at 5:45 p.m., that's June 11th, excuse me, but that's not the case. Next Monday, June 11th at 6 p.m. Is Committee of the Whole here in council chambers with one item, and that is West Hill annexation. Again, Monday, June 11th at 6 p.m., council chambers, West Hill annexation. And then just as a point of interest and to start the early call-out process if necessary, on June 13th is the City of Renton meet and greet with the Renton School Board. That would be at the Colvis Education Center, 300 Southwest 7th Street, beginning at 6 p.m. to 6:45 p.m. And just as a point of note, that is also for many of you were invited, or all of us were invited to the River Days kickoff celebration appetizers at Luther's table, and that begins, we're getting conflicting reports on either at 5:30 or 6 p.m. Appears to be an open house, but just keep that in mind for scheduling. But we are committed to meet with the school board at 6 p.m. on June 13th. And that is all, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Breyer?
I have no new business.
Hey, Mr. Prince?
No new business.
Mr. Person?
No new business.
Ms. Palmer?
Yes, the Community Services Committee will meet next Monday, June 11th, 5:45 to 6. Short meeting, just one item on the agenda, and that's the RAC appointment of Mr. Basco. And that's it.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Corman?
No new business, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Mr. Taylor?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, the Utilities Committee will be canceled for June the 11th, and that is all.
Okay, thank you. All right, next is audience comment. Is there anybody who'd like to address the council? Yes, please come forward, give your name and city of residence for the record, and you have 5 minutes.
Finally got the nerve to come back because we have a small audience. My name is Audrey Adams. I am in City of Renton as of 2008. Rah rah, I already told you that. And I've been wanting to bring a topic to you for quite some time. I don't really want a big rah rah audience. But it's a very serious topic, and one that's very, very dear to me. and one that's an ongoing one. And I don't expect you to like it. And that's the hard part for me because I hate being disliked myself. But the topic is about water fluoridation. And the reason it's extremely important to me is because my son is completely, absolutely, and positively unable to drink or even shower in or even eat food that has been prepared in fluoridated water. Now, I didn't discover this overnight, and I'm not saying this lightly, and I don't expect you to believe me, by the way. I'm pretty sure that, and that's okay. But that's why I'm here. Because it seems unbelievable, but I found that it isn't at all. And I have discovered that there are quite a few folks like my son that also have an extraordinary intolerance to fluoride. And let me tell you right up at the top that I don't actually get any water from the city of Renton. So my coming to you doesn't have to do with my own water delivery. I'm in the Sioux Creek Water District. The reason I'm bringing the issue to you is because everything that I have done since the time my son was diagnosed, just after age 2, has been somehow connected with children with special needs, people with developmental disabilities, the community in general. That's what I do in my spare time, other than taking care of now a 26-year-old with autism, which is pretty complex because he has very severe medical issues. He's a wonderful, wonderful man, by the way. I am here only to inform. I don't expect you to believe me. I only ask that you listen, and I'm going to bring information to you, and I hope that that you just listen or view it with an open mind, because what we've been told for a very long time is not the whole story. And so each time I come to you, I will now have the nerve to come up and I will bring hopefully something that might enlighten you, and I would prefer to bring something that you would actually like to hear. I am just mom, but I have become a rather informed mom out of absolute necessity. So if you could tell me what you want, I will bring that to you. If you don't tell me what you want, I might bore you with something you don't want. But nonetheless, I will try to bring it in small bites. I am not looking for, I don't expect that you to agree with me. I just hope that you have an open mind about the problem that it presents. And I will bring scientific studies, and I will bring medical professionals if you wish, or not if you don't, whatever. What I brought with me today is the testimony that I submitted to the Washington State Supreme Court in 2010, and it tells a little tiny smidgen of my son's story and how I got involved in this. I did not choose, I absolutely positively did not choose this topic. It chose me like a wrecking ball that hits you in the gut. And it won't go away because it's every single day of our life. But anyway, so that I don't get all emotional, I'm going to let you just read the little snippet that I wrote for the Washington State Supreme Court. Also, because I assume you're going to think that I'm a total quack, because bringing up the F word makes you instantly suspect that I'm nuts. So I've just done a little bio of some of the things that I've done, with Dawn and in my school career, in my community career as a volunteer, to try to give you a little smidgen of reality check of who I am and why I might not be an entire fraud in that case. Anyway, with that, I really appreciate it. I'm going to leave something with you today. I promise to not overwhelm you with information. I just hope we can kind of allow me to help educate you in whatever way you would like to be educated. And so that's why I didn't want a big drama.
Hey, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Mr. Corman.
Could I speak to this? First of all, none of us think you're a fraud to be here. And in fact, it's an issue that this council takes seriously. I brought up the same issue a year or two ago, and I was
Where
really...
was I?
Yeah, I was really appreciative of the response of the council, and in fact, we were responding to the fact that the federal government had just lowered its fluoride recommended standard, and I'd encouraged our water utility to lower the fluoride to that level, which was half of what it was previously, by the way. So you may or may not know that within the last year or two, Renton has actually cut in half the amount of fluoride in the water. But interestingly, my oldest daughter, she doesn't mind me telling people that she has that same sort of reaction to fluoride. And very ironically, just tonight, her husband putting in a reverse osmosis filter in her new home. So her previous home, which was a rental, she had a reverse osmosis filter to get the fluoride out, and she's putting one in her house tonight, which is really the only real effective way to get rid of fluoride from the water. But she has like a reaction to it that causes her stomach to hurt and things like that. Probably not as severe as what you're talking about. But one thing that you should know is it wasn't a council decision to put the fluoride in. It was a voter decision back in, I think, 1985. So
I recognize that you're not, nobody here is to blame for the situation. We're just in a situation.
Yeah, well, and in
That's
fact,
it. We're in a situation.
right, and in fact, it's, I think the information should be disseminated to the public, and frankly, I think sometime, 2012, it's been 30 years, maybe the public should sometime have another decision point whether they want to continue with that. But anyways, I want you to know, I don't think the council minds hearing it also.
I thank you very much. And so much has changed in 30 years. The scientific evidence is, light years from what it was 30 years ago. But anyway, so I'll leave this little thing. Who do I leave?
Right here with the clerk.
And do you prefer me bringing a copy for everybody, or just one and you copy it, or?
Or just electronically, you can give it to the city clerk, and then she can disseminate it too, so you don't have to
That's
make
the
copies.
best way.
Save you money.
Paper.
Yes.
Yeah.
I copied it off because I didn't know this time, but
Fine.
and this isn't any. It's just.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Oh, yeah.
What's the wish of the council?
Move we adjourn.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Zwicker, second by Mr. Corman, that we adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned.
Masters, we need to work together.
CERT training is fun and exciting.
I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun and I learned an awful lot.
We are trained to go help in natural disasters or any kind of a disaster, mainly in our own neighborhoods.